Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having a great week so far. Students, in this class we're looking at an IELTS listening section. Specifically, we're focusing on part 3 and part 4. For those of you who are new to IELTS, the IELTS listening has 4 parts. Each one has 10 questions and each one takes about 10 minutes. We did part 1 and part 2 for this listening exam last Tuesday. If you missed that class, no problem. It's on YouTube. Just take a look for it for last Tuesday. That's a week ago, so it would be on July 31st. Students, this part 3 and 4 topic, as we discovered last class, will be about international trade and Michelangelo, the famous painter. All right, everybody. This lesson, this practice exam, it's brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that power these live classes. They contain all of our exams and practice materials. Hi Ariadna, hi Salman, hi Anna, hi Adeji, Iba, V. Nice to see so many of you in the class. Students, our academic IELTS website looks like this. We will use this in a few moments for the listening. Click the big red button that's just off to my right there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and you will again get all of our videos, practice exams, and you get 2 extra live classes each week like this, so it's worth it. Those live classes are on Zoom. This is general IELTS here, gieltshelp.com. Click the big red button. There it is. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS test registration center. I'm a certified British Council agent. We help thousands and thousands of students pass their IELTS exams each and every year successfully, joining our premium courses, paying $40, $50, and getting all the tools they need to improve their band scores. So be one of those students. Premium students, I know there are several of you in these live classes. You already have the links for this week. I sent them just yesterday, so please check. All right, and then for those of you who are curious what that looks like, you can take a look with this address here. All right, and for those of you who want to get our apps and link it to the websites, it's a good idea. Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Use the code DISH9 on the website. It will not work on the app. Apps don't like discount codes, but the website will take the DISH9 for 10%. That's coming from one of our more recent speaking videos, this one here. So check out this video here for some extra speaking help. I'm doing good, Shravan, sorry. How are you? Thank you for asking. Okay. Praveen, we tried the Discord before. It really didn't take off, but there is one kind of popular Discord channel. I think they're called IELTS something. I'll try to remember it. We haven't had a chance to chat with them in a while. All right. Students, for this week right now, we've got listening part 3 and 4. We've got speaking tomorrow, and then for premium students on Thursday, we've got reading, and we've got more speaking through Zoom, so check those out. Okay. All right, everybody. So just some quick listening tips. For sure, what you want to do when you're listening is visualize. So see the information, don't listen to it blindly. It's a part of your active listening skills, okay? Imagine that you're there. So let's take a look at the exam for today. It looks like this. This is section 3. And we are going to listen to this. Now, let's just do a little bit of reading first. So write no more than one word for each answer. Question 21. How long ago was the first record of trade between nations? So when I see this question, okay, if I'm sitting in the IELTS exam, then I try to visualize what I know about human history and trade. And here we have the word nations, which means like countries, right? So of course I can visualize trading like 20,000 years ago or 30,000 years ago, where it's basically trading maybe food, but that's not necessarily nations yet, so not countries. So maybe my first kind of visualization of trading between nations is I have a camel and I am carrying maybe some dried fish to trade for animal skins for clothing. Okay, something like that. So I visualize it, I engage the text, right? And maybe I belong to an Arabic kingdom. So some other part, maybe in Egypt. I don't know. I'm just making it up, but I'm visualizing that, right? So just based on my experience of history books and reading and school and maybe some movies, that's kind of what I'm visualizing, right? So that's what I'm thinking about. Faribor says bartering exchange. Absolutely. I mean, there's not a lot of money involved at this point yet, probably. Iba says importing and exporting. Yeah, that's getting a little bit more modern with different transport methods, right? Ariadna says, like on the Silk Road. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So let's start listening, everybody. Let's do a little bit of listening here. And while we listen, answer these questions, okay? And then we'll go through the answers together after. So this is CD 5 and track 3 on the website. Okay. So we go to our website here, aehelp.com. Once we've joined the premium version, again, we have access to all of the tools. So we have computer-based practice exams. Look at how many we have there. We have a full online interactive course with key strategies, listening section, reading section, writing, speaking. You even have a bonus writing at the end. You have downloadable workbooks and study plans and practice exams for paper-based students. You have lesson videos, over 200 of them, including 125 speaking interview lessons. And I mean, again, it costs like $40 US, so you're getting tons. And then here we have our audio CDs. So let's do this. This is CD 5. Now again, remember everybody, you have to listen and answer. Please don't put your answers in the chat. We'll go through them together after, okay? So let's do this.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
Okay, here we go. Flowchart, pay attention to numbers.
Listening, section 3. You will hear a forum discussion between the moderator and 2 contributors, Dr. Rachel Young and Dr. Ronald Sturgeon, both political scientists at the local university, talking about trade between countries. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Young and Dr. Sturgeon for taking the time to spend this afternoon with us.
Thank you for having us here today.
Dr. Young, could you give us a little background on the topic of free trade and protectionism, a little history?
Well, countries and nation-states have been participating in free trade schemes for millennia. The ancient Egyptians, for example, participated in trade with the Arabians across the Red Sea over 3,000 years ago. The Roman Empire imported many goods from outside their lands, especially luxury goods such as silk, which were only available in China. Free trade, however, though, has much younger roots.
Could you define free trade and protectionism for us, Dr. Sturgeon?
Free trade is trade between countries without taxes, tariffs, or other regulations attached. Without a free trade agreement, nations charge taxes or tariffs on goods that are imported to their country. This is to protect the manufacturers within their country. If country A, for example, produces a product for a 20% higher cost than country B, country A is likely to impose a tariff on the importation of country B's cheaper product into country A. This is to level the playing field for domestic manufacturers. Free trade advocates want to take down this barrier. In my opinion, advocates of free trade do not care about domestic manufacturers and workers in their own country. I believe their only intention is to maximize profit for big international businesses.
I know Dr. Sturgeon is impassioned about protectionism, but what he fails to mention is that while free trade may lead to some lost jobs in certain sectors, it leads to many other jobs in other sectors. This may be cold comfort to those in, say, manufacturing or textiles, but we must not be blind to the needs of the many and be distracted by the needs of the few. Nobody says free trade between countries is perfect, but it is certainly better than a protectionist framework which costs the country jobs and prosperity. Another point I would like to make is that free trade increases competition and thus lowers the price of many goods. This saves consumers money. Purchasing a car, for example, is much cheaper under free trade agreements. While such agreements may appear undesirable for a British company such as Land Rover, since they are given price disadvantage within the United Kingdom, this is not the whole story. While it is true that the company is at a minor disadvantage within their home country, free trade agreements puts them in an equally advantageous position in other countries in which the UK has a free trade agreement.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
This is a very interesting discussion. Dr. Sturgeon, from reading some of your work, I know you have some ethical concerns about free trade.
Yes, I have a number of ethical concerns. First and foremost, free trade agreements incentivize highly unethical sweatshops. When countries such as the United Kingdom enter free trade agreements with countries with lower human rights standards, we put ourselves at risk of tacitly endorsing those low human rights standards. Is the ability to wear slightly cheaper clothing really worth selling out on one of our most basic beliefs, that people should be treated with respect?
I agree with Dr. Sturgeon that human rights is an ongoing issue in free trade. Certain incidents, such as sweatshops collapsing and killing dozens of workers, have highlighted this issue in the media and public discourse, but these are isolated incidents.
Hardly. These are not isolated at all. And even if such horrible incidents were rare, does it make the conditions those workers work in permissible? Do we excuse horrible working conditions as long as the workers don't die? That's an incredibly low bar, and one I believe we must implore companies and governments to raise.
Okay, let's move on. Dr. Young, do you believe free trade betters the life of the average British citizen?
Absolutely. I believe free trade agreements make us more prosperous as a society. While not perfect, I truly believe pursuing free trade agreements is a positive step in making our world a better place.
Of course, I disagree. While I do not doubt that more wealth comes into our country as a result of free trade agreements, I believe this money never improves the life of the average citizen. The rich get richer and the middle class workers get laid off. Not to mention the ethical issues I have with this.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, and always take that half minute to check your answers. Make sure that they make sense, first of all. So make sure that if, the blank needs a noun, then you have a noun there and not a verb, of course. Make sure your spelling is okay, especially in your paper-based exam. The computer-based as well, but computer-based questions often are drag and drop or others. So make sure you've got some good spelling.
Now turn to
make sure it
section
makes
4.
sense. Okay.
Take some
Let me
time to
just
look at questions 31
stop
to 40.
our audio here. This is for the next part here. So we'll start that in a few moments. We'll do part 4 as well. Again, for those of you just joining in, we're using our website aehelp.com here. And this is where we have all of our practice exams, videos, and lots more. Join that by clicking the big red button right over there. Okay, we'll come back here in a few moments. Let's do part 3. Let's go through the answers together. Now, you probably saw how I was doing little kind of check marks as we were going along to show you roughly where we are in the audio and where you should be tracking for your answers. That's really good practice for home, students. So I highly recommend doing that when you have a little bit of time and you're practicing these listening exams. Use this little kind of check mark technique to track the audio. So practice tracking the listening audio with little check marks to indicate when you have heard the information in the questions, okay, and audio. All right. Okay, so let's go back and let's answer these questions. So here, the instructions say write no more than one word. So it's one word only. It's very important because, Anna, if you write 3,000 years, if you write years, you'll get it wrong. Years is already given here, so definitely don't write it. All you need here is just 3,000. Okay, just that number. All right, Iba, good. Okay, so if you got that, that would be correct. So it's the answer here was 3,000. Okay, all right, so just be very careful. Now here, this was a flow chart, and with flow charts, a really good tip is to pay attention to specific numbers and specific terms because you will hear these. So you will hear 20%, you will hear country B, and that's an easier way to position yourself in the audio. So one of the big mistakes many candidates make with flowcharts is they're really paying attention to just this part here, must pay a something to import. And many students are hoping that they're going to hear these words here, must pay a, and to import the product. But unfortunately, in the real IELTS, you don't necessarily hear these words because they will paraphrase them, okay? So if you're only paying attention to just the pieces that are before and after, there's often a good chance that you will not hear these, okay? So you have to, again, practice your reading. The reading is important, not just for the reading section, but also for the listening section, everybody. So keep that in mind, okay? Fluent reading is important for the listening section, not just the reading. Because you have to read the whole question or questions to get the higher marks. Okay, super important. Everybody got that? Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you got that in the chat. I think a lot of students think they can get a good mark by just identifying keywords, but you can't. Okay, that's a really important tip. All right, Pardis says yes, got it. So there's no way around good reading skills. You have to read well. That means read at least 1 hour a day when you are preparing, which all of you are, for IELTS. Okay. All right, let's do this. So a company in country A imports the product. If the country does not have a free trade agreement, the company must pay something. What do they have to pay? Janice says a tax. They may take that. It is a good synonym, and they usually do. But the exact word here is a tariff. 2 F's. Okay. Ariadna, it's tariff. It's a strong F. Tariff. To import the product. This is to level the playing field for. Now this one was a little bit tricky. Okay. In this one you can have 2 words and or a number. And this one was kind of a band 9 level answer. Very good, Salman. It was domestic manufacturers, plural. Okay, domestic manufacturers. Anybody know a synonym for that? What's another way to say domestic manufacturers, just to learn a little bit of vocabulary here? What's another way to say that? What's a synonym for this word for those of you who are like, what is a domestic manufacturer? Yeah, very good, Alexander. Yeah, local industry, sure, or local production. Yeah. Local producers. Very good, Ayadeji. Nice. Okay. Yep. All right. If the countries do have a free trade agreement, the company does not have to pay to import the item. Some advocates of protectionism believe free trade advocates are only worried about maximizing something. Now, again, students, for large companies. So maximizing what? Now, local vendors is good, Archana. So maximizing what? Logic is really good. Students, logic goes a long way in the IELTS. So even if you miss a question, I mean, a lot of these you can kind of figure out with good logic. So make sure to use good logic. Yeah, profit, right? Profit makes a lot of sense here, even if you did not hear it. So even if I miss this question, I would kind of just guess it's probably profit that they're talking about here. And they are. That's the right answer. Okay. Okay. 25 to 26. Here, it's write no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer. So number 25. Some people will lose their jobs under free trade agreements, but we must emphasize the needs of the something and not be sidetracked by the needs of the something. So here you have to have the correct order, especially in the paper-based exam. We must emphasize the needs of the, that's right, number 25 is needs of the many and not be sidetracked by the needs of the few. So in the paper-based exam, you have to write many and few in the same order. If you write few and then many, you'll get it wrong. And I know it's the opposite of the way they said it in the audio. That's why you have to be really careful. When I did the IELTS exam, they had a question exactly like this, where the person said few and then many. And I had to switch it in the answers to many and few. Okay. Number 26, free trade lowers the price of many goods because it increases what? And again, this is where logic will make a lot of sense. So, free trade lowers the price of many goods because it increases, that's right, Ariadna, that's right, Alexander, competition. Right? Free trade leads to competition. Competition forces prices to decrease. Good. So here we had a little bit of a break. During that break, do not stare out of your head. Do not zone out. Instead, stay focused. Okay. You have kind of a table here. Always pay careful attention. I did circle these for you to the headings. So it's the cause and then the effect. So causes and results, basically. Okay. So here they give you an example. They go, okay, well, a country enters into a free trade agreement. It jeopardizes human rights standards. So companies get more competitive. Competition leads to less ethical thinking. Which leads to poor building maintenance, sweatshops collapsing. Okay. The conditions are highlighted in the media. That's right. In the media. Very good. Okay. The realization that such incidences are not isolated. So this is, you hear that kind of voice in the audio where the person's like, hardly isolated, implore companies and something. So it's not just companies, but it's also, very nice, Janice, very nice, Anna, good answers. Yeah, governments. Now it's governments, right? One important point here, so it's governments. Pay attention to that S. Because companies is an S. So you have the plural noun agreement, right? That's how you know that that's an S. Okay, and then we had two multiple choice. Now, these multiple choice answers, there's a lot of information here. While I'm listening to the audio, it's very hard to read all of this. So I'm not even going to try. Instead, I'm going to focus on the question. So I'm going to focus here. And I'm going to focus on what Dr. Young believes. So what is Dr. Young's main point in advocating for free trade? So I'm going to go, okay, well, Dr. Young believes. I'm listening for Dr. Young going, I believe, I think. So Dr. Young finally says, makes us prosperous. Prosperous means like live a good life. And then it's a positive towards a better place. So he thinks free trade is stepping towards a better place. So I'm going to look for whatever matches with that. Free trade agreements are the single biggest economic driver for making the world a better place. Maybe. Free trade agreements are not perfect, but they are a good step towards including global welfare. Free trade agreements are not always positive, but can be a very important way to level the playing field for domestic manufacturers. So in this case, I think it's either A or B. Okay. Which one is the better answer, A or B? Free trade agreements are the single biggest economic driver. Did he say that? That they're the single biggest economic driver? I didn't hear that. Free trade agreements are not perfect, but they are a good step towards. I think he says that a few times, actually, not just at the end, but throughout the audio. He's like, well, it might not be perfect, but it's a good step. So I think the best answer here is B. Okay? It doesn't have bad information like this part here. And it has all the information that he says. So I'm going to go with B. Now, trying to figure that out while I'm listening, yeesh, not so easy. So that's why for these types of multiple choice questions, especially when the answers are really, really long, it's a much better strategy to really focus on the answer, not the questions. Okay, keep that in mind, everyone, when you're practicing. Okay, so for multiple choice questions, especially those which have long answer choices, it is a much better idea to focus on the question and the answer you hear, then match the correct answer after. Okay? Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we had another one of these. It was Dr. Sturgeon's main point. Dr. Sturgeon believes free trade does not improve life. The rich get richer, so protectionism is the way to go. Overall wealth has increased in society. Middle-class jobs are the foundation of an economy that works for the few and not just for. Free trade agreements are bad because they concentrate wealth in the hands of an elite few. Yeah, so that was his main reason, is he said the other way is just, it doesn't work. So here, it's definitely answer C. Okay. All right, everybody. So there you have your answers for part 3. How did you do? So what did you get from 10? Now, students, just a tip. If you're going for a higher band score, Anna, 7 is good. In part 3, part 4, you want to get at least 6 or more. Okay, if you're getting less than 6 in part 5, you really need to be checking what's going on. Why are you getting these answers wrong? Why are you getting so many wrong? Okay, not just checking your answers, but checking why. So think about, what am I doing that's not working? And what am I losing time on, or what am I losing attention on? Am I kind of just drifting off into space while I'm listening? So what's going on? Salman says, I misspelled tariff, so I got 9. Hamid says, I got 8. Niba says, I got 10. Anna says, thank you. I did a lot of work to improve part 3 in listening. Yeah, absolutely. Some people find part 3 the most difficult because it's where they have a conversation that's on a specific topic that's at a higher level. Some people actually find part 4 easier than part 3. And spelling is important, students. Play spelling games. So if you have bad spelling, download some spelling game apps and play spelling games. Okay, so that's a very good tip, Anna. Spelling is important. If there's no spell check in IELTS, if you have bad spelling or poor spelling, download some spelling game apps and improve. It is also a great way to improve your vocabulary. Okay. All right. No, not Grammarly in this case, Heba. There's just some really good spelling game apps. Okay. Fari boards for maps, you really just have to visualize and learn your prepositions. Okay. Okay. Draw for practice. So when you hear those map type questions, you should be practicing by drawing at home, drawing instructions on how to create those maps. Okay. All right, students, let's do this. Let's get into the next one, which is listening part 4. Here we go. So again, we're going back to our website. For those of you who have access, you can get our premium version by clicking that big red button. Again, we're IDP affiliates, British Council partners. IELTS Test Registration Center for the online exam. Go to your My Student account, audio CDs, a CD 5 because it's exam 5, track 4, here we go.
Now turn to section 4. Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listening section 4. You will hear a university lecture on the famous artist Michelangelo. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good to see you all. As you know, we're having an exam a week from today. Material from today's class will be included on the exam, but material from the final 2 classes of the week will not be included. I hope this will give you an opportunity to revise enough to perform well on the exam. With that administrative business out of the way, I'd like to begin today's lecture on the lesser-known works and endeavours of the famous Italian Renaissance artist Michelangelo. While Michelangelo is best known for his painting of the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, he was also the creator of a number of other highly respected works. Among these are the Pietà, a statue of Mary holding a deceased Jesus, and the statue David, said to be the representative of the perfect male form. But Michelangelo was not just a painter and a sculptor. One of his crowning achievements is St. Peter's Basilica, a project he was lead architect on for the 17 years preceding his death in 1564. While the basilica wasn't completed until 1626, over 60 years after his death, Michelangelo's influence on the structure was immense, as he had laid out many plans for the structure during his lifetime, many of which were faithfully carried out under the reign of future popes and future architects. Michelangelo's fingerprints are all over modern Rome, and especially what is today Vatican City. Not only through his paintings, frescoes, and sculptures, but also through his architectural achievements. In addition to his influence on St. Peter's Basilica, Michelangelo also redesigned the famous Capitoline Hill area of Rome, and designed many chapels within the walls of the Vatican. Michelangelo was also tasked with a number of pet projects over the years. These projects were not one that the man himself wanted to undertake, but was compelled to because of monetary considerations or simply loyalty to the Pope. For example, when Pope Julius II ordered him to construct a 3 times life-size bronze statue of the Pope, Michelangelo had no choice but to accept. The project took up more than 2 years of his life, and 4 years after its completion, the work was unceremoniously melted down to construct cannons. Additionally, the conditions under which he was made to work were often sorely substandard. For years, he lived and worked with 4 other men in a cramped apartment with little to no privacy and no room for his creative juices to flourish. It is interesting to imagine what a genius such as Michelangelo could have accomplished given rein over his own creativity. I personally believe the world is a poor place for him having not been allowed this luxury. However, on the other hand, perhaps Michelangelo's sometimes tortured life imbued his works of art with something more than just artistic genius. Although Michelangelo is a celebrated figure for his works of art and well respected for this architectural acumen, his literary works are virtually unknown to the world. He was a virtuoso of Renaissance art, celebrated in his lifetime and venerated centuries after his death, but his writings never made an impact on the society in which he lived, nor in the years since. Michelangelo was an avid writer of poetry and found that poetry was an invaluable escape from the grind of his everyday work life, especially during the years spent arduously painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Poetry provided an outlet for his frustrations, fears, beliefs, and desires. Those who want to know the real Michelangelo must go beyond his frescoes and sculptures and dig deep into his personal writings. There, one will find a rather tortured soul, harmed by years of physical, political, professional, and personal strife.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, everybody, check those answers. Let's just hop back to the website here and stop the audio. There we go. Again, students, use the website regularly every single day. Tons and tons of materials there for you. Combine it, especially for premium students, with the 4 live classes each week, and you are certainly studying well for your upcoming IELTS exam. For those of you who want to go beyond that, the website, you can always use Test Glider, our partner company, that has 8 AI computer-based practice exams, and these are exactly the same format as your real computer-based exam. So a really nice addition to the package for those of you who are maximizing your learning for the test. Okay, everybody, let's do this. So let's go through the answers now together. Okay, let's go back to the start here. 31 and 32, you have to figure out if it's on the exam or not. This was kind of easy. It's just kind of getting you into this. So 31, material from the 3rd class of the week. Is it on the exam or not on the exam? 3rd class of the week is getting pretty close to the exam. Professors are usually good about this. So the correct answer, that's right, Iba, is B. You can use a bit of logic here too, right? It's like, why would the professor put that material on the exam? It's right before the exam. So it's not on the exam. And then material from the current class, this seems to be earlier in the week, this class. So this one here is A. And she actually says that. She says, material from this class will be on the exam. Hi, Rita. All right, so B and A. Ba. Okay. All right, so then we get into Michelangelo, of course, one of the more famous artists in history, the Italian Renaissance painter, sculptor, architect Michelangelo. Students, be familiar with some key figures in history from Asia, from Europe, from North America, from South America. So a little bit of history goes a long way, from Africa as well. Know about Cleopatra, Tutankhamun, right? So know about these very famous historical figures. Okay, so other works. While Michelangelo is perhaps most famous for painting the Sistine Chapel, he is also famous for a number of other highly respected works, including the Pieta and the statue named something. And she doesn't say male beauty, says the perfect male form. The answer to 33 is, that's right, David. Now, this is the name of the statue, and it's a name, so it has to be all capital. So Ganesh, if you write it small, it's going to be wrong. It has to be a capital D here. David, thought to symbolize male beauty. The trick with all of these, part 4 is quick and paraphrase. That's what you have to remember. Okay, so part 4 in the listening is quick and paraphrased. Practice lots of paraphrasing before your exam. So what I recommend that you do is, when you see these part 4 kind of scripts, go through them and try to paraphrase them, right? So when you see something like far more than just a painter, beyond his abilities to paint. Michelangelo was also an architect. He was also an engineer of buildings. Okay, so I'm just kind of paraphrasing and practicing that paraphrasing so that when I hear part 4, my brain gets good at hearing and changing information, interpreting. Okay. All right, so far more than just a painter, Michelangelo was also an architect. He was lead architect on the St. Peter's Basilica for something until his death in 1564. He was lead architect on St. Peter's Basilica for 17. Shaheen, 17 is not enough. It has to be 17 years. Because it's like 17 what, right? 17 weeks, 17 months. Anna, not enough. You need years. Okay? If you don't have years, you don't get it right. Though the structure was not completed until 60 years after his death, his fingerprints are all over the resulting structure because future something and something faithfully carried out design. So it has to be human nouns here. It's not hopes. Over here, it's not hopes. It's popes. Okay? Popes and architects. Popes, the leaders of the Catholic Church, right? Architects. Engineers. And it's not architectures, it's architects. Okay. Michelangelo's influence is also apparent around the rest of the city of something, including at the ancient Capitoline Hill site. Number 36, city of Rome. The Vatican is in Rome, and Michelangelo's works are all around Rome, not just in the Vatican. So the correct answer is Rome. And if you pay attention carefully, you realize that Capitoline Hill is not in the Vatican. So Rome makes a lot more sense. Okay. All right. If you're not sure, students, about an answer, where it comes from, check the transcripts. That's the script at the back of the book. Servant of the papacy. He was also a loyal servant of the Pope. Sometimes, so here's a help for that last one. Popes. Pope. Right? A little bit of help. Pay attention to all of it. Sometimes this was important work, though sometimes it was rather pointless. He once built a bronze statue of the Pope, only to see it melted down for cannon parts. Too bad. Just a few years later. Moreover, the something, let's see if somebody got that. It was conditions he had to work in were often substandard. Right? So the conditions, she was very clear on this. Yeah, very nice, Jabo here. Often being forced to live and work in small, cramped spaces with a number of other men. Literary works. Literary works means like writing as an author. Who knew Michelangelo was an author? Maybe he wasn't nearly as talented in writing as he was in sculpting, I would assume. All right. So I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should read his works. Maybe they were great. It is interesting to think what he could have made if he was given the freedom to explore his own... Yes, that's right, creativity. A lot of you got that. That's very good. Good job, everyone. Make sure you get that spelling right. Creativity. While his life may have been difficult, some people argue that this difficulty made him a better artist. Something was an important way to escape the difficulties of Michelangelo's life. Okay, last one here. Very nice, Salman. Poetry. Good job, Eva. Good job, Pardis. Lots of you got that one. Poetry was an important way to escape the difficulties of Michelangelo's life. Though his writings never made much of an artistic impact, they do offer a window into his tortured genius. Very nice. Students, how did you do? Especially for those of you who were in the class yesterday. So what did you get out of 40? Does anybody know their total score out of 40? Anna says 28. Okay, we'll check that in a minute. Overall, for this one, it was 14. Okay. For those of you who are wondering, on the website, again, aehelp.com, at the very, very bottom, there's a score calculator. So here's the URL for that. Okay. And if you got like something like Anna at 28, then it will tell you that that would be a band 6.5. Okay. If you get 28 on your academic reading, that's also a 6.5, then you get 6.5 on both. They're not scored exactly the same, so be careful. Okay. All right. If you got 38, then you got an 8.5. All right. So again, that's on the website. Trevor here says, honestly, I found it really challenging to look at questions on the screen. It's kind of the same in the real exam, like you really have to pay attention and focus. Of course, it's ideally you're using a computer for these classes. If you're using a small phone, it's tricky. Students, this is a strange tip, but an important one. Ideally, you're using a computer to practice for your IELTS, not a phone. Okay, that's a really important tip. I know not everybody has a computer available to them, but ideally that's what you're doing. Okay, little screens don't make for very good exam practice. All right, everybody, tomorrow we've got a speaking class and we're going to use Zoom for that. And then for premium students, we've got an extra 2 classes, one on Thursday and one on Friday. It's just another benefit of being a premium student. So make sure to join us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. These are the websites that we were just using. Okay. It is the right way to go when you want to master your IELTS test. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today. Again, the websites are aehelp.com, looks like this, with these big red buttons. Click those to join. And for general IELTS students, it's right there, green background. Hope you enjoyed that listening practice with some tips and strategies on how to improve. I will be back tomorrow with speaking. That will be using Zoom. You are super welcome, Ariadna. You're welcome, Iba. Pardis, you're super welcome. Have a lovely rest of your day. Much love to all of you wherever you are in the world today. Stay positive and be yourselves. Be true to you. I'm Adrian. Bye for now.